right, everybody, we are live once again, and we're going to talk to you about what's happening in the Charlie Kirk assassination case. We take an in-depth look at what's happened in the day 2 of the pretrial, and we're going to uncover all the lies and the rumors that have been circulating ever since his loss almost a year ago, almost since his death a year ago, and we're going to get through what the evidence says, and I believe the truth shall be revealed. All this and more when we come right back.
We pray for love and unity, and that the church would find new zeal and commitment to the mission and purpose of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
You're a liar! You're a liar!
Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart.
All right, welcome back to the program, everybody. It's the Political Pulpit. I'm your host, Josh Navarrete, and today we have some heavy things to talk about, and I figured it'd be a good time to go live to discuss all those things and more, and just to uncover what I believe to be the truth. There's been a lot of rumors floating around, a lot of terrible discussions that are trying to debunk the truth behind what's happened to our beloved Charlie Kirk, who has been a voice, a beacon of hope, of light, and for young people, the young generation of America. I think has changed the landscape of what politics looks like when it comes to faith and politics. Pretty much the reason why we're here. So I think it's very important that we discuss it and get into it and discuss what the truth is and let the truth be revealed. Before we continue, I want to thank everybody that's watching us and has supported us, to all of our partners. Thank you so much. You can visit us at www.politicalpulpit.com/partner to find out what that looks like and how to help. We couldn't do it without the partners that jumped in and worked with us to get this off and running. And then, of course, if you want to get the news, you can go to www.politicalpulpit.com. You're going to get unfiltered news from a biblical perspective. We're basically reporting and writing on how it comes through, unbiased, and, it's from a faith lens, really. And we want you to know what's going on, but also keep in mind of what's biblically true, biblically sound, what does prophecy say, and also what do faith leaders in your community say? Because this is a place where we contribute together and get information out together for everybody. So join us there. That's where you get the news. You can also sign up and get the newsletter, which goes out weekly, so you can stay on top of things. And I want you guys to keep a lookout for Fresh Fire Ministries, and this is basically our ministry arm of the channel. And I want to thank everybody that supported us and is interested on that. You can always send us an email and figure out how you can be a part of Fresh Fire. This is basically for the channel's sake. We're going to give out Bible studies and different biblical lessons that are going to enrich your life. I believe God is going to bless your life, and we want you to be able to share those videos to help somebody else in need. And of course, we want to do some outreach and some other things that are going to help contribute to communities in your city, all the way from New York to California, wherever God leads us. All right, let's get into it. I don't want to waste any time because we have a lot of clips. First off, as they set up, I want you guys to kind of keep an open mind, because even on the other side of things, I'm noticing some of these clips and some of these video footages that are coming out of the Charlie Kirk footage, evidence that's being brought to court for the second day of pretrial proceedings are kind of grainy. And I know what's going to happen. People are going to say they're not convinced, and it's not clear enough, and it's not good enough evidence to prove that it's Tyler Robinson on the UVU campus. But I think evidence is going to keep coming and mounting against him. All right, let's roll the first clip. It's official, bombshell. Footage has just been revealed or unveiled in the Tyler Robinson trial for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, clearly showing Robinson arriving to campus to commit the heinous act. Erica Kirk was holding a tissue up to her face, of course. Under no circumstances was this anything other than Robinson showing up to kill Charlie. His rooftop escape is literally on video. It's an open and shut case. Give him the maximum punishment. Let's roll it.
Fox News Alert, day 2 of the preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson. The accused Charlie Kirk assassin is now underway. Charlie's parents and his widow, Erica, are back inside the courtroom, sitting together for the proceedings. And Robinson's parents were also there and were told they looked, quote, tired. Today, much of the focus was on piecing together video surveillance of the suspect's movements at Utah Valley University, starting with the arrival of the alleged killer on campus.
What are we seeing here, Agent Hall?
That's the vehicle that is believed to belong to Mr. Robinson arriving in the parking garage on campus.
At what time in the morning? What time of the day?
It's approximately 8:30 in the morning on September 10th, 2025. The driver of the vehicle exits the vehicle and then walks on foot to exit the parking garage. It's the individual in the red T-shirt and the shorts and the shoes.
And do you believe you recognize who that person is?
Yes.
Who is that?
I believe that's Tyler Robinson.
Later in the testimony, we saw the moment the suspect began his rooftop escape.
Mr. Robinson lowering and jumping off of the roof of the Losi building onto the grass area, and then moving away towards Campus Drive.
Erica Kirk was holding a tissue up to her face during this testimony. Another witness we could hear from today, Robinson's former roommate and alleged romantic partner, Lance Twiggs. Prosecutors plan to introduce a recorded statement from Twiggs.
Lance Twiggs could be a damning piece of evidence for Robinson and this case. But I already know what's going to be said, and a lot of it's already being said, is that the footage does not prove that it's Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson did turn himself in. His family members did recognize who that was. And there's footage of him getting into his position to shoot Charlie and then leave on that rooftop and jump on the other side. I hope, and I'm believing there's probably more footage that they're going to show tomorrow. We have some great patriots and Christians that were there in support of Charlie and his widow, Erica. So I think what's going to happen is people are still going to tell you, don't look that way, believe me. And you know who I'm talking about, and she's already doing that. She, Miss Candace Owens is not believing anything that's coming through the court. The truth is that you're innocent until proven guilty, but the evidence is mounting against him. All right, let's roll the next one. Former FBI supervisor, special agent, FNC contributor James Gagliano. The defense is playing the long game here. Everything related to procedure and rules of evidence, what can be presented and considered a trial. And obviously, the bar is much lower in a preliminary hearing, but they argued this afternoon quite long at length. And I don't want to overstate this. I continue to maintain, and I've watched almost every second of the past 2 days of this preliminary hearing, I continue to maintain there's a Mount Everest amount of evidence in this case. Very compelling. The state is basically setting this up brick by brick and building the foundation. Go ahead and play it.
Supervisory special agent and Fox News contributor. James, great to have you on the show. I'm just wondering, this TPUSA statement that was admitted in court, are you surprised? It seems like it could be helpful because it does kind of get to the direct motive here.
Yeah, and Trace, like we talked about last night, the defense is playing the long game here. Everything related to procedure and rules of evidence, what can be presented and considered at trial. And obviously the bar is much lower in a preliminary hearing, but they argued this afternoon quite long, at length, about the fact that the TPUSA mission and details about the culture and Christian faith and Charlie's political views, which were contained in this book, if you will, and they argue that could not be entered until or unless you could establish up front what Tyler Robinson's mindset was at the time of this murder. So it's interesting. The procedural part of this, they're going to be working through this. And when this does go to trial, Trace, that's going to be front and center and drag this trial out for quite some time.
I find, James, the video fascinating. Matt Finn was kind of going over that. And it not only establishes a timeline for the prosecution, but boy, when you see the video of him in the shorts and he's just walking around, and then you see him in long pants, potentially with something in the pants where he's limping there, it really is very compelling. It's got to be compelling to a jury at some point in time.
Absolutely. And I don't want to overstate this. I continue to maintain, and I've watched almost every second of the past 2 days of this preliminary hearing. I continue to maintain there is a Mount Everest amount of evidence in this case. Today, they basically laid out circumstantial evidence. They wanted to show the pattern, the 4 times that Tyler Robinson was on campus on September 10th, where his movements were, and the fact that, as you talked about, his gait was altered when it looked like there was something possibly aligned with one of his legs as he was moving up and down a stairwell. Very compelling. The state is basically setting this up brick by brick and building the foundation.
Yeah, I want to get to this very quickly because I also think it's important. We're talking.
The evidence that comes in will also show messaging from Tyler to his companion that he was tired of Charlie's messaging, his what they call hatred. But you know, the crazies on the left always talk about Christianity as hatred, and that's also going to show. I think this is why it's important that the prosecution builds this case the way they're building it, is because it is going to show that he did not like what Charlie stood for. And we know what Charlie stood for. So it's important to show the court and the jury that there is a Christian element to this. There's a biblical element to this. There is a political element to all of this. And all that turning point is, and all that Charlie is exactly what Tyler hated. And that's why he pulled the trigger. And then, of course, you know, they're going to have to prove that the person that was in the shorts is the same person in the pants, and that what he had in his pants was a weapon. I just hope they have enough evidence of, you know, when it comes to, you know, you got gunpowder, you got, you know, the different biological elements to what's on that weapon, what's on that towel, what's on Tyler's clothes, to kind of really incriminate him and catch him and tell the truth. Because, you know, everybody that's the Candace-anites, or whatever you want to call them, are going to find ways to try to discredit or disprove what's coming through court, while Erica and her family and Charlie's parents are suffering the greatest loss, and everybody else is trying to prove otherwise. All right, next. I never in my life thought I would see the day that I'm sitting at Charlie Kirk's pretrial. Let's go ahead and play it. He's going to say this anyway. I don't need to read it all.
You're like, dang, it's crazy, because you thinking to yourself, dang, I never thought I'll see the day that I'm in a courtroom regarding a trial, and this is a pretrial, because somebody I know in the movement got murdered, assassinated. You get what I'm saying? I never in my life thought I'll be at Charlie Kirk's pretrial because he was murdered by somebody. And then you're there, and then I can't stop thinking about Erica, because I was with her in the trial. I was with her in the green room and the family. And my heart breaks for her, because what does she do to deserve this, man? She gets married to a guy who's an incredible guy. She's an incredible woman. They're an incredible couple together. And then all of a sudden, a lunatic decides to kill him because they don't like what he had to say. And while other people are spending their weekends or week going to work, they're going to go home to see their family. They probably on vacation. They're going to do all that. Erica has to endure facing the person who killed her husband and sitting through the trial. Then she got to sit through the actual trial.
Yeah.
Where they show evidence and talk about how Charlie was murdered. It was like surreal, man, being in there and listening to what happened to Charlie. But it was also gratifying that finally evidence is being presented, so you nut jobs will shut up and quit lying to people for clicks, and finally people can get real evidence that I've been telling y'all was true from the very beginning. But at least you can get evidence from an impartial source. When I say impartial source, it's in the court of law. You can watch it for yourself and see what the prosecution is presenting and see how the defense objects it.
I think this is such a unique moment that I hope you all realize. First of all, the information that we can get on an instant, I'm trying to think of another case, a high profile case of this magnitude, where you can get evidence immediately by watching it through X, Twitter, or wherever you get your news, hopefully the Political Pulpit, And then you can get commentary immediately from the courtroom, from friends and employees and acquaintances and, close friends like, Mr. Brandon Tatum, who was there in the courtroom with Erica, also worked with Turning Point and Charlie, and is able to get you the information direct. So there could be no question of what's happening. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. This is such a unique time. And I think everybody needs to pay attention because the liars will be revealed as liars. And you think this is going to stop them. It's not going to stop them. I mean, especially Candace, who's just this jealous, crazy woman who won't stop and keeps attacking Erica, Charlie's widow, and trying to discredit their relationship and make it seem like she's responsible for his death. That is a terrible, terrible, terrible. And then she goes on to Seth Ryan's show, and he's like complicit to all her stupidity. Anyways, all right, let's pull up the next one. Charlie Kirk was worried about speech censorship. Speaking of Candace, coming to America under the guise of protecting Jews from anti-Semitism. I know because he texted me about it. He sent you the tweet. Sarah, is it Milgram? And it's so small on my screen. Anyways, there we go. Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lishinsky were two beautiful young people with their whole lives ahead of them. Their murder was senseless, evil, and horrifying, and the man who did it should be punished to the maximum extent possible. But I must push back against one thing all over. So she just says, great tweet. He says the thank you of praying hands. And then she says speech censorship is coming to America. It totally is, he says. Now, I think Charlie sends this to her to try to keep her in the loop and almost kind of make sure she stays centered as she's drifting to God knows where. I don't think this proves anything other than Charlie was absolutely horrified by these two young people that were killed in their office. Somebody walks in there, shoots them dead because they're Jews. She calls it just, speech censorship. No, this is greater than that. This is him speaking against anti-Semitism. So, go ahead, go to the next one. Andrew Colvett says, Candace, he was finding things he could connect with you. That's basically what I was saying. To placate you. When it came to harder conversations, like for instance, when you tried to bait Fuentes into a debate by publicly claiming or lying that Charlie had agreed to debate him after without asking Charlie's permission to do that. He made me deal with you directly. I'm sorry, you have to find out. Oh, I'm sorry, you have to find out this way. So then she responds this. First, it was Charlie, never spoke to her. He was afraid. Now it's, okay, they spoke in text often, but Charlie was being fake and tried to placate her. So to be clear, Charlie sent me pictures of him and his son and daughter in the hospital after birth because he was looking for things to placate me on, or just generally texting me when he was worried because Erica was rushed to the hospital in February of 2024 due to a preterm labor scare, which wound up okay, gratefully. All of that personal stuff to simply placate me, you are a clown. You tried but completely failed to accomplish anything today beyond exposing yourself as a routine liar who gleefully perverts Charlie's legacy to serve your own financial interests. Charlie and me were always friends, and we never stopped speaking, and we always had each other's backs. You are powerless to undo that. Well, that could be true, but we don't know. I just don't know that Candace is in the right mind to make the right conversations. I believe there's one more response. Andrew says, LOL, you were always friends? Always? Are you sure you want to go with that, Candace? You want to tell everyone about your friendly exit from Turning Point back in 2019, or should I? Or should we just go back to how you weren't friends with Charlie Kirk at the end and have zero proof for any of your idiotic theories? Your narcissism and selfishness over the years have given me plenty to talk about. So now they're going to tit for tat, however you say that. But the thing is they're going back and forth. and they are trying to prove each other wrong. So this is going to get interesting. But I'm more interested in the truth on what happened to Charlie and proving that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. I can't explain the whole 30-06 things because that is crazy that bullet did what it did and didn't do what we think normally happens. But who knows? God is in control of the truth there, and hopefully it's revealed through evidence and there's an explanation there. Maybe not. Who knows? All right. Before I continue, I want to invite anybody that's joining us live to join us in the comments and let us know where you're watching from and let us know what you think. And this will help us break through the algorithm. So as long as you comment, as long as you jump in and let us know you're there, you can help us greatly. All right. Next clip. Candace Owens, this is from Nathan Livingston. Conspiracy slop is immediately exposed on day one of Tyler Robinson's preliminary hearing. Candace Owens, repeatedly the last 9 months, Tyler Robinson Tyler Robinson has never even set foot on UVU's campus. Verse, lead investigator under oath today. We were able to establish that Mr. Robinson had been on the campus approximately 4 times throughout the day. Twice before the shooting, at the time of the shooting, and then again after the shooting, later that evening and into early hours of the 11th. Let's play this clip. I think it gives you a good side-by-side.
In fact, according to my source, Tyler has never even stepped foot on UVU campus.
I mean, who is Tyler Robinson? What the fuck was he doing there?
I don't
Do you think
Tyler Robinson was there.
You don't think he was there?
No. I think he's a total patsy.
Were you able to determine at what time or times Mr. Robinson visited the UVU campus on September 10th?
Yeah, we were able to establish that Mr. Robinson had been on campus approximately 4 times throughout the day, twice before the shooting, the time of the shooting, and then after the shooting later in the evening into the early hours of the 11th.
Tyler has never even stepped foot on UVU campus. In fact, according to my source, Tyler has never even.
So what source could you possibly have to know that Tyler Robinson never set foot? Was it his parents? You think that's a good source? His friend? I know she was trying to communicate with those people close to Tyler, but that's not evidence. The evidence is in the video footage of him driving up, showing up in a maroon shirt, gray shorts, then going back, coming back to a different parking lot, then leaving, then going to have Chick-fil-A, then leaving Chick-fil-A, coming back with something in his pants because he couldn't walk properly, in jean pants, different clothing. And then he gets on the roof, and then they show him positioning himself. And then shortly after the shot, running to the other side, jumping off of the roof on the other side of the roof, and then taking off into the distance. There's footage of that. If it's not Tyler, then who is it? I think we know who it is, and it's going to be easy to prove. And Candace and others, I mean, I had a guy come and work in our studio telling me that Charlie's not even dead. That's how crazy people are. That's how crazy people are. And she's not helping. She is not helping. All right, next. Tyler Robinson's defense team was hit with a huge blow after the judge ruled prosecutors can play never before seen footage of his alleged movements on the day Charlie Kirk was killed. Here's one of the scenes from when he arrives on campus.
You believe this is Mr. Robinson returning to campus?
I do, yes.
Okay. And what do you believe is Mr. Robinson?
The shoes are the same, and the images that we have are from my viewing and seeing Mr. Robinson on the video, it's the same person.
Now, what do we see?
So it's Mr. Robinson coming up the stairs of the parking structure. Again, he seems to be having issues walking.
His leg is completely straightened. Also, his demeanor is not great. He's always looking around side to side, kind of checking behind
And again,
him.
we're able to track Mr. Robinson when he leaves this parking structure.
Yes, we were able to.
Okay.
And again, in the top left corner, the individual is now seen running across the rooftop of the Losi building to what would be the southwest corner of the building, crouching down and then crawling to the corner of the building.
So there you see a subject crouching down, crawling shortly after the shot at the same time that we all know what time he was shot, gets up, runs to the other side, and exits the top of the building. So what else do you need? Maybe this next move in the pretrial is to prove that it is Tyler, which I don't think will be very difficult. All right, next. This may have been the most difficult moment of today's hearing. The judge visibly flinched as footage of Charlie Kirk being shot was shown in court. You could feel the weight of the room, praying for Erica and Charlie's family. This is the moment the judge sees, which is crazy to me. You got to think, if you're a judge for a high-profile case like this, you probably cannot be on social media. You most likely will make sure that you haven't seen the footage beforehand because you want to make sure that you're ruling justly. And so I think this is proof that we have a good judge on our hand, because he was visibly shaken at the moment Charlie was shot. Go ahead and play it. So it happened quickly. Let's see if it replays. See how he totally was shocked. It stunned him. There's longer footage there where you can see his demeanor, his stance, his positioning is the same, and then this very second that he sees it happen, which it shocked the entire world. If you've seen it, it's absolutely horrifying. All right, next. Andrew Colvett, Robinson said, I had enough. So this is the messaging I was talking about. Because the defense had an issue with, and I don't know if we have it, but if we do, we'll play it. But the defense had issue of prosecutors trying to build a case on Robinson being anti-Christian and anti-everything that Charlie believed in, and which stood for from Turning Point, from the debates that he's had, the conversations he's had with students in different universities. They're trying to show and prove that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie for his beliefs. The defense didn't like that. Well, here's proof already in the case where it says Robinson says, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. So this is him implicating himself, basically showing that he had to take the shot because he didn't like Charlie Kirk's beliefs, or what he calls hatred. That's what they always say. They say that Christianity is about hatred, and everybody that's conservative spews nothing but hate. All right, next. Oh my gosh, what? Lance Twiggs, DNA was found on the screwdriver left at the UVU roof and on the towel that was wrapped around the rifle. Why has this guy been allowed to go into hiding for the last 10 months? Go ahead and play it.
And Kimberly, if you'll scroll down to still on page 1, where the screen will show items 7 and 8. Sergeant Falmuina, do you see the lines that say item 7, that line?
Yes.
And will you read that portion of the report that describes what item 7 is?
Item 7, towel from around Mauser rifle, serial number 8863.
And there's also some other identification numbers. Is that the towel that you found with the rifle that day?
Yes, it
On
is.
September 10th?
Yes.
Item 8, will you read what that says is a description of item 8?
Item 8, screwdriver from perch.
And is that the screwdriver that you described that was collected from the rooftop?
Yes.
Okay. If we can go to page 3 of 6, please. Will you, item 7, sub 1, will you please read the result there from the title, item 7, until the word contributors?
We have the analysts here who can describe it. Not sure it assists the court to be having her read from the report that's already in evidence.
And would you mind repeating that, but with the microphone? I want to make sure that the record picks up your objection. Oh, either way, if you want to come up, that's fine.
Judge, the objection is that her reading to the court what's in the report is cumulative, since we have the analyst here who will be testifying to what the report says and what it means. So if we've got the report in evidence, we don't need this witness's reading the report to the court. So it's a 403 cumulative objection.
Mr. McBride, do you wish to respond?
My point is only to draw your attention, Your Honor, to the relevant results that will be discussed by the other expert, as well as the results of the items we discussed, the towel and the screwdriver. That's all.
All right, the court will overrule the objection and allow a brief overview of it, not going line by line, page by page. So if it is brief, I'll allow that.
Thank you. So if you'll read item 7.1 to the word contributors, the top of that page, if you will.
Yes. Male DNA was obtained from item 7 sub 1. Item 7 sub 1 was interpreted as originating from two individuals, one of whom is Twiggs. The DNA results from item 7 sub 1 and are 1.7 octillion times more likely if Twiggs and T. Robinson are contributors than if Twiggs and an unknown, unrelated person are contributors.
Thank you. Let's skip down to item 8.1. Do you see that bolded and underlined line there?
Yes.
And this is relating to swabs of the handle area of the screwdriver. Is that right?
Yes.
Will you read those same two paragraphs there? Male DNA ending with contributors.
Male DNA was obtained from item 8 sub 1. Item 8 sub 1 was interpreted as originating from two individuals, one of whom is Twiggs. The DNA results from item 8 sub 1 are 30 quintillion times more likely if Twiggs and T. Robinson are contributors than if Twiggs and an unknown, unrelated person are contributors.
Okay, thank you. A couple of foundational questions before we finish for now. First off, do you know who Twiggs is?
Yes.
Who is Twiggs?
Twiggs is Lance Twiggs. He was a roommate of Mr. Tyler Robinson.
And do you know if Lance Twiggs's DNA was obtained for comparison in this test?
Yes, it was.
And how was that DNA obtained?
It was obtained by law enforcement officers.
And was that by a buccal swab?
Yes.
What is a buccal swab?
A buccal swab is basically like a Q-tip or a swab that we'll just place in someone's mouth and just scrub the inside of their mouth to obtain the cells.
And then that Q-tip is then packaged and sent to the lab for testing and comparison?
Yes. And
was the defendant, Tyler Robinson's DNA, also collected in the same manner?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is so important because now you have DNA evidence. Thank God for technology, because the DNA process in court has been very useful to reopen cases that have been shut for a long time and catch murderers and perpetrators and others, though, that have been running around this world or just running free and have been caught through DNA samples. Now you have video evidence of this guy running around campus, and then you have DNA evidence of both Twiggs and Robinson. Now what are you going to say? All right, next. Agent David Hull testified police did not know who the shooter was when Tyler Robinson voluntarily surrendered. A former Boy Scout leader helped facilitate the surrender before Robinson arrived with his parents at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Play it.
And isn't it fair to say that as of the moment that Tyler Robinson voluntarily surrendered to authorities in Washington County, as of that moment, you all did not know who the shooter was? Is that right?
We had identified a person of interest, but we did not specifically know who the shooter was at that time.
Okay. And you became aware that Mr. Robinson was voluntarily surrendering how? How did you become aware of that?
That information came originally, I believe, from the Washington County Sheriff to the administration at the control center at the university on the evening of the investigation, or the second evening of the investigation.
And isn't...
All right, so they I guess basically they didn't know who the shooter was. Nobody knew. What was weird is like the 33rd hour they were able to find him. There are some weird coincidences that does strike like this is strange. But listen, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. And, so it's like Satan did what he did that day. And he's going to continue to try to disrupt and distract everybody. But I want to remind you that there's a family that is hurting. Charlie's parents. It's so sad to see his parents and, Erica suffer the way they are. And you got idiots like Candace and others that just won't leave them alone because they have clicks to be had and money to be made, and they just won't stop. All right, next. Officer Chris Bagley says his body cam battery died. So stuff like this, I already know what she's going to be like, and these other people. Oh, how does your battery die right when you're on the roof when the most, damning evidence would be? Officer Chris Bagley says his body cam battery died while he was on the roof immediately after Charlie Kirk was shot, which is crazy. That is crazy. Go ahead and play it.
While you were on the roof, did you encounter any spent casings?
As a matter of fact, no. That's why when I saw the prone position where a person would be laying down as a sniper, being around guns and snipers all the time, I was looking for a spent shell casing. I couldn't see one. I was looking over the edge, looking all over the place, making sure the gravel wasn't disturbed.
So
I
he
couldn't
must have
find a
cleaned
shell
up the
casing
shell
at that moment.
casings.
And that would be the reason you would be looking for that was because some types of guns, when they shoot, eject a casing automatically, right? Some
Yes.
do, some don't.
Yes.
Right. And then you also didn't find any unshot bullets.
No.
Okay. Are you aware of there being a bullet found on another roof
I'm not.
vicinity? Were you aware of another bullet being found on the scene, not on the roof of the Losi building?
No.
All right,
That's
your
crazy.
body cam
Pause that really
footage
quick,
that
because
I
if she's saying that there was a bullet on another roof and a shell casing, that's nuts. Because then there's another possibility somebody else was there. And I hope if that's the truth, then hopefully this comes out. Or is she saying, she could be saying like, do you know of anything else anywhere else? And he's just saying no. But that could be a little bit confusing. And then of course people can run with that. All right, go ahead, play it.
reviewed appears to end while you're still on the roof. Do you know why that is?
I think the battery went dead. It was just right at that moment.
Okay. And do you know, did you ever turn it back on that day or go get it I don't know, what do you have to do? Charge it or stick a new battery in it? I don't even know.
Usually dock it, but no, I didn't go back. It was too chaotic running around.
So that 27-minute and 35-second body cam that starts when you're at the Hall of Flags and ends while you're still on the roof, but haven't put the crime tape up yet. That's the only body cam you have that day?
Yes.
All right, next. You don't have to switch back to switch. Novak just said the quiet part out loud. I didn't bring the Bible into his courtroom. The state did. His argument, the prosecution charged Robinson with a political expression enhancement, not a religious one. But by bringing in a pastor's statement about Charlie's Christian faith, Novak says the state is the one turning this hearing into a referendum on whether Robinson's own views in life are anti-Christian. Well, it's not that Robinson's views and life are anti-Christian. It's that's why he shot Charlie. That's the point. Play it.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to point out that this proposed exhibit, which is the 1102 statement of Mr. Engelhardt, is basically 4 paragraphs. The 4th paragraph identifies Mr. Engelhardt, although I say in the 3rd person, as a pastor and as an attorney who was a friend and a counselor to Mr. Kirk and was involved in leadership of Turning Point USA. Beyond that, it's not really relevant to any of the issues before this court. Paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 talks about Turning Point USA's status with the Internal Revenue Service, the purposes of Turning Point USA, and what I'll just refer to generically as the goals and objectives of Turning Point USA. And it also then talks about Mr. Kirk's relationship with TPUSA. None of this is unknown information that he was a founder, that he was the chief executive officer, that he was the president of the board until his death. So I'm still not sure what the relevance is. And I guess actually what I should say is I don't believe there is any relevance of any of this information.
Well, you don't believe the relevance is because you don't want your defendant to be accused of martyrdom. He shot and killed a minister of the gospel for him believing everything within the Bible and preaching the gospel at every event. That's the truth, and it's very relevant to this case. Andrew Colbert says, I asked Jeff Metcalf, a father to Austin, to give his point of view and encouragement to Erica, Rob, Kathy, as they sit in the Utah courtroom. Few people understand what they're going through more than Jeff. A truly powerful conversation. Play it.
This is what happened when Erica stood up there and said she forgave him. That was the same exact thing I did. And my phone started blowing up because they're like, oh my God, she just forgave him just like you. And I said, people don't understand forgiveness is for me. So I don't carry hate, anger, revenge inside of me. You have to let that go and rely on your faith. Because it says vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. You really need to learn how to let that go so you don't carry it around so it won't eat you up like cancer.
Right.
And that's the reason I was able to forgive so fast, because I know what I needed to do for me and as a Christian. This is what happened when Eric.
He is saying something so powerful, which I was there at that moment, that Erica says she forgave Tyler Robinson because she has a family to raise and a huge corporation to run. And that's not the reason why she needed to forgive, but to release herself from hanging on to anger and bitterness. Because imagine carrying the weight of the loss of your husband in such a tragic and public way and still dealing with bitterness and hatred. We have to pray for her family, and her parents, and his parents. All right, I believe we got one more on the Charlie Kirk case. Let's go ahead and roll it. This is from Liz Wheeler. I wanted to go through this because this kind of like lays out the evidence and, just debunking everything that is circulating. I have to admit, recently I was watching some up close, slow footage from the moment, on the other side of that tragic moment from Charlie. And it does look strange on how the mics kind of like explode in place. But, the evidence is what it is. And this is what she gets through. Tyler Robinson is on video on campus 4 times. So he was there. Then she goes on to say, medical examiner report says cause of Charlie's death was a gunshot wound to the neck. So not an exploding mic from Israel. Turning Point USA turned over HD video footage from their camera of the shooting to law enforcement. So the videographer did not steal the footage to hide some secret reality about the murder. The lead investigator testified that their big tip came when a person, Tyler Robinson, turned himself into Washington County Police. So he did turn himself in. Access to the rooftop is easy. A staircase open to the public and a small guardrail that can be hopped over to gain entry to the gravel rooftop. So no Spider-Man abilities necessary to get to the roof. Defense actually does have access to the state's discovery. They filed 0 motions to compel because they are satisfied with state cooperation on this. So no Fed conspiracy to deny defense exculpatory evidence. No bullet casing on the roof? Question mark. So what? Bolt action rifles do not auto-eject casings if only one shot is fired. You'd have to know how bullets work in bolt action rifles to know that. The casing was found inside the rifle with 3 other unfired rounds. So, not a setup framing Tyler Robinson's rifle. That's the question I had. Did he, he didn't have to take a second shot, so that casing didn't fly out. And now that we know it's bolt action for sure with Tyler Robinson's DNA, it is what it is. Tyler Robinson was laughing in court. So, not distraught about false allegations. All right, what is the defense here? A mass conspiracy of Israel, Egypt, France, the U.S. military, Charlie's former security, Erica Kirk, Kabat Phillips, Cash Patel, the FBI, the ATF, Utah Police, the judge, and Turning Point USA all in one plot together, only without a shred of evidence implicating any of them. If you believe that, you need to set down your phone immediately. Go to confession, meaning ask God to forgive you and repent. Pray in the humility for wisdom and discernment, and start reading a rigorous curriculum of the classics to train your mind to think rather than be swayed by cultist emotional group thinking. I say this with love because otherwise you have surrendered the mind and soul God gifted you to the great deceiver. And that great deceiver is being is using many with tons of followers, tons of people that are influencing the masses. And I don't know if you've watched any of those streams, but they are nice and full, comments flowing, views pouring in because of these lies and conspiracies. And it's never going to stop because the deceiver will never stop. The enemy will never stop. All right, let's take a break from that Charlie Kirk story. We are going to continue to cover it this week and get you all of the stories, the evidence, and the court proceedings as they come in to help the truth be told. All right, let's get into what's going on in the news. We have a couple of clips to show you. Parents, we must stay vigilant. A deeply concerning video has surfaced showing Tyheem Clark, widely known as the child care whisperer. This is disgusting, by the way. Wearing a dress and high heels while telling a group of young children that their parents cannot be trusted. This is a direct, open attempt to drive a wedge between parents and their children. When prominent industry figures look kids in the eye and tell them to distrust the very people God gave to protect and guide them, it crosses a dangerous line. This is a deliberate effort to separate children from the authority and protection of their parents. Goes on to say, Scripture clearly establishes that parents, not outside influencers, are responsible for instructing and shielding their children. Anyone trying to break the bond is an immediate red flag. We cannot afford to look the other way while people try to groom the next generation into distrusting their own families. You are the first line of defense for your household. So I don't even want to show this clip, but let's go ahead and do it because I think we need to be aware of what's happening.
Look at me. I'm getting ready to tell you something that's probably going to hurt your feelings, but I love you.
Close our eyes.
Okay? The parents are not your friends. I'm going to say it again because I want you to hear me. The parents are not your friends, okay? They cannot be trusted, all right? Everybody look at me.
And there's somebody in the back saying, amen. Like, what in God's green earth is going on here? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. There's a great deceiver we just talked about. He's also after our children. And parents need to be parents and raise their children in the way that they should go. And so that when they are old, they will not depart from the truth. All right, next. Breaking. Bernie Sanders calls on Maine Senate candidate Graham Plattner to step aside from the race following a recent rape allegation against the controversial Democrat. That's crazy. Let's play it.
Bernie Sanders releasing the following statement on the Maine U.S. Senate race. I've spoken with Graham Plattner about the best path forward for Maine. In light of these very serious allegations, I have recommended that he step aside. You know, when you look at this, Leslie, I read in Punchbowl this morning, party leaders believe Plattner will drop out of the race as soon as today. I do believe this is imminent. You can't stand up against pretty much the entirety of your party. Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, well, that's just, I mean, if it's true, that's gross. All right, so before we play this, Mitch McConnell's showing up to vote against the Save America Act, which is probably going to happen because, there's rumors that he actually is brain dead. But then there's members of Congress and Senate saying they spoke to him. So I think that's where this comes from. Play it. Just play it on the screen. Don't switch.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
Oh my God.
AI is getting crazy, you guys. All right, next. Arizona was once leading the nation in job growth and operating with a stable water supply. They've ruined our water supply. It's pretty much what they did in California. Now, after 4 years of a Democratic-controlled executive branch, Arizona has fallen to 47th in job growth and is staring down serious cuts to the Colorado River water our cities and suburbs depend on. This is what executive incompetence looks like. We actually had a meeting with him not too long ago. Alex Culloden breaks down how badly Arizona has been failed, while people around the state are fired up, and why so many voters are ready to restore competent leadership in Arizona. Play this.
People around the state are fired up, and they're ready to bring the golden age home. You know, we've seen for the past 4 years the catastrophe that having a Democrat executive branch has brought to Arizona, where we went from first in the country in job creation to 47th, where we went from being a state with a stable water supply to having our clock cleaned in terms of the Colorado River negotiation and looking at a very serious cutback next year in terms of the water that our cities and suburbs use. And that's all been brought about by the Hobbs-Fontes administration, which has been an incompetent catastrophe. So people are seeing this, and people are ready to restore a competent Republican executive branch that's going to get it done for the people.
All right, that's awesome. Gotta love our friends at Arizona Free Enterprise Club. They are doing God's work. Let me tell you, they are doing God's work with this podcast that they have going, and the interviews that they have are powerful. Our friends there are an amazing group of people, and I believe we're going to save Arizona because he's absolutely right. Arizonans are seeing what's happening with our water rights, with our schools, the fight against school choice, and then becoming at the bottom tier of job growth in just a short period of time. It all falls on leadership. Now, here's the next job that we need to continue to fight for across the United States is to fix our election process, because that's the other problem in Arizona, is that if our election process is not redone, fixed, revamped, blown up, and done in a more simpler way, then we could still be facing the incompetent leadership of Arizona for this next term. But if we stay the course, fight, believe in God, pray, and stand for truth, we're going to win. And nothing can stop what God's plan is or what his will is for Arizona and the rest of this country. All right, I believe we have the wonderful View coming up. And let's see, speaking of incompetence, let's take a look at what the ladies are saying on The View. Co-host of The View, Sunny Hostin, says she feels unsafe and, oh gosh, in a neighborhood full of American flags. Let's play it. Yeah, she's just...
And with an American flag on that cap, you might as well have a hood on. You might as well have a hood on, because that's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. But you say this is the best nation. The best nation for who? Yeah, when you say it's the best nation. When you say it's the best nation, the best nation for who? Because if we are celebrating 250 years, what are we exactly celebrating is what I want to know. And so I'm really glad that picture was taken, because that picture is how we feel walking into many rooms down the street. That picture is how we feel, and nobody will believe us. So look at that picture and understand how it feels.
And you never should be made to feel like that. It's wrong that this woman is.
And I said this on this show many, many years ago, because this is my 10th year on the show. And I said there are times when I walk into a community and I see American flags all over the community, and I suddenly feel unsafe because there is a section of this country that has co-opted the American flag, and they equate being an American or an American flag with white supremacy. And that should never be the symbol of white supremacy, but they have weaponized.
Well, it's people like you that cause the divide in America, because that's not entirely true, although there are some sick people in this world, generally speaking. But to say that America makes you, or the American flag makes you feel enslaved, then go somewhere else. Like, how hard is that? This is the best nation because you have freedom and liberties that you don't have anywhere else. It's not that difficult. Go. They won't go anywhere else because they're living rich, they're living happy, they're obviously living full and have plenty to eat here. So they're not going to go anywhere else because there's no other place better than the United States of America. Next says, and Bridget Gabriel, an HOA justice declared war on the American flag. San Diego residents fired back. Threatened with $100 fines to remove their flags, residents lawyered up instead. Resident Chris Cook was clear. His grandfather died in World War II. That flag stays up. Play it.
I'm not going to let them bully me with fines to take down the symbol of America.
No, flag isn't coming down. No, everybody had flags up, the whole community. But now the last 2 years, it's slowly, one after another, everyone's flags have come down.
They revisit this again. If the policy stands, then I will be fined every month that my flag is up.
This flag represents freedom and sacrifice and blood that was shed for this country.
Cook says she's a direct descendant of revolutionaries. She wears a Daughters of the American Revolution tattoo. Her husband's father received a Purple Heart and Navy Cross for his sacrifice in World War II.
This is important, and people need to understand that they need to stand up for our country because there's too much at stake.
Residents say this debate with the HOA began 2 years ago. In part of an email explaining the policy in October of 2024, a board member identifies flying an American flag as essentially a political affiliative view.
I think that they don't like looking at my American flag.
The HOA board office was closed. When NBC7 called, the phone service did not include a voicemail option. In a more recent email to Cook, dated May 8th, 2026, the Ambiance Owners Association wrote, "These restrictions are not meant as an inconvenience or an invasion of freedom, but rather as a means of maintaining harmony, continuity, and property value." Dave is doubling down. He's had a flag in the front of his home for 35 years. Instead of taking it down, he added a second in his backyard to this palm tree.
They're trying to tell me that the only way we could have one is not in the front or the side of the common property, but I can in my backyard.
Like Cook, Collins was urged to attend Tuesday's board meeting to make his case for displaying the American flag or face a $100 fine.
For 35 years, that flag has been on that corner.
I should not have to argue about my freedoms to display the symbol of freedom in America.
No matter the outcome of the board meeting showdown, Cook says you'll see her flag waving over this 4th of July holiday.
Only in America, well, certain cities, can you get in trouble for sporting and declaring and showing your allegiance to your country. People come here from other countries wishing they could fly that flag. But yet you have Americans flying other country flags. I bet you they'd let you put up a Palestinian flag, no problem. All right, next. Only one man can save U.S. soccer now. Now, good thing this is AI because that was miserable yesterday. You got who watched that miserable game from the United States soccer team in the World Cup? They just did not look like they were on their game, or they were completely outmatched by the other team. Anyways, let's just have fun with this. Go ahead and roll it. Yeah, he runs pretty good. And he's cheating, they're saying. He's cheating, and USA wins. That's crazy. That looks ridiculously good. Yeah, that's what we needed, but it wasn't going to happen. Even President Trump couldn't save Team USA yesterday. Maybe next time. One thing for sure, USA needs to get better. So take it serious if you want to be on the world stage, which we are still proud of them. They got pretty far into the tournament. So thank God for that. Just yesterday wasn't that great. All right. John Amanchuku says a legal immigrant shows respect to the flag. Play it.
I didn't born here. I didn't grow up here. English is not my first language. That's not the flag I born under. But look, I make this flag my flag, and I respect that flag. Because when I look at that flag, I remember every single hero, a true heroes, the ones who fought and fight to keep America great. That's why I never will burn this flag, but always I'm gonna raise this flag high as can be, because I'm proud to be America's citizen.
Love that.
See, this is the definition of assimilation. This is exactly the kind of true patriotism that America needs right now to wake people up. When legal immigrants show more honor and gratitude for the red, white, and blue than the citizens who were born here, it's time to stop letting ungrateful activists control the narrative and start standing up for our country's freedom.
Absolutely love that statement because it is true. Legal immigrants are happy and proud to be Americans. It's the ones that are from here that are being poisoned by the great deceiver, believe that America is not great. I believe America is in good hands. We're doing just fine. And happy birthday, America, for 250 years of freedom. It was a great weekend celebration. It was a great 4th of July. I hope that everybody had a really good time celebrating America. And I got to say, I felt a great sense of unity across America. I went to DC, went to the DC Mall, little to no distractions. People were friendly. People were enjoying the Great American Fair or whatever they called it, and the concerts, and they were watching soccer, and they were going to the different exhibits, riding the Ferris wheel, visiting the monuments, the Lincoln Memorial, and I stood at the top looking at President Lincoln and turning around and seeing the Washington Monument and the reflecting pool. And I got to tell you, it is great to be an American. I want to thank everybody that joined us this afternoon. We'll be on again tomorrow. Remember to hit like, share, subscribe, and send this to a friend. Let us know where you're watching from. And you can also join us at www.politicalpulpit.com to find out all that we're doing and all that is happening on this channel. Once again, thank you everybody for joining us. We will see you next time. God bless.